Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and today I'm finishing up the John Carpenter 4K collection with my 4K review of his classic ghost movie, The Fog. So in this review, I'll talk about the visuals, the audio, packaging, special features, different options you have for picking this title up in the UK and in the US and across the world, and what to expect in the future from this release, and whether really it's worth an upgrade over some of the existing Blu-rays. So jumping right into the visuals here, I thought that The Fog was one of the best of this set. Right now, I think that They Live is still my number one. Prince of Darkness is probably number 3, which puts Escape from New York at number 4. And that means The Fog is right up there. Number 2, probably the second best in this set after They Live. And there's a couple reasons for that from a visual standpoint. Now, the first is that The Fog is intentionally a very, very dark movie, much like Escape from New York. It is intentionally built for darkness. It is a dark movie. It takes place in dark areas. It's a dark setting. But what this did better than Escape from New York was it really handled the contrast in black levels a little bit better. And I thought it brightened the picture just enough so that you don't lose that kind of deep black, nighttime, scary, spooky, that whole setting that John Carpenter set up for this movie, which is what he intended. But it brightens it up and lightens it enough while still keeping deep blacks in the background to let you see more of what's going on. So, you'll see in some of the screenshots here, people's faces and skin tones, those become a little bit more clear. You don't lose the black levels. It's still nice and dark, but it feels like you can make out a little bit more of that picture a little more easily. So that's really important. And I think that has a lot to do with, yes, the 4K resolution, but also the Dolby Vision HDR. That's really what's helping here with the contrast and letting those things in the foreground stand out from the darker, really deep black backgrounds. So it's a really important reason to upgrade to 4K for this release, because it's really hard to make out on the Blu-ray. I have the Scream Factory Blu-ray from the US. It's a pretty good release. That was the best that the movie's looked to date, but it still left a lot to be desired. And this new scan of the 4K source really ups the game, and it's the best that The Fog has ever looked. It was really one of the reviews I spent the most time on and was most looking forward to because of that, because I thought it would be the most challenging in this set. But it's well worth the upgrade, and I'm really happy to have it on 4K because it's a vastly improved viewing experience. Now for the audio on this, we get a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 track. So similar to what we've had on past releases, there's nothing really new here. This doesn't add Dolby Atmos. In fact, none of the movies in this release add Dolby Atmos, but that could be something you see down the line if, say, Scream Factory, Shout Factory does get the rights to this, or maybe somebody else like Arrow does to put it out in the US. You may see them add an Atmos track like they did with They Live and Prince of Darkness, which this set doesn't have, but those US releases do have. Right now, there's no news of The Fog coming to 4K in the US or coming from anywhere but these StudioCanal releases, so I wouldn't bank on that. And it doesn't mean just if it does come to the US that you're guaranteed an Atmos track, but this 5.1, again, these movies, John Carpenter's score is always the highlight of these movies for me from the audio standpoint. There isn't a whole ton of action. They're very atmospheric, and the music really drives the story. And that sounds great in 5.1. Does it sound better in Atmos? I'm sure, but they aren't really, I've said this before, they're not really designed for Atmos in mind. I feel like modern movies and full remasters of older movies that had a much higher budget and more effects, like 2001 or Jaws or something like that, can take more advantage of the Atmos versus these smaller horror movies. They just don't take as much advantage of a full Atmos soundtrack, and so I'm not really lacking that here. I'm not missing it. It's a very good audio track. It's a pretty standard audio track, but it's all you really need for The Fog. Now for packaging, you do have a couple options. As always, I have this 4-film John Carpenter set, so I'll leave links to that down in the description. This gets you all 4 movies. I got it for about $50 US. It's also available in the UK as well as other places in Europe and in Australia. But then each of these have an individual release from StudioCanal as well, which will give you an individual slipcover and it adds a little bit more, you know, if you're somebody who likes to have movies broken out. Personally, I like to have box sets because they consolidate space on my shelf. When you have 3,000 movies, that becomes a problem. But if you want the individual sets, those are also available. Now, the special features on this are non-existent. There aren't any. You're just getting the disc, and that is what it is with this collection. I'm sure that you know, other releases probably will have more special features, but for that reason, again, I'm keeping my Scream Factory Blu-ray because that's loaded with special features, and if I ever want any of that, I still have that disc as part of my Scream Factory collection. But this is the best way to view it, and so I would recommend, if you want to save money, go with this 4-film collection. You can get it for a pretty good price across the world, and it does pop up on Amazon in the US, and these are all region free because they're 4K discs, so there's no issue there at all. You're getting Dolby Vision HDR in all of them. That's the way I would go, but like I said, it's going to matter how you collect and what you want in your collection. So if you want individual releases, that's also an option. So overall, I'm really pleased with the 4K transfer of The Fog, and I'm really hoping more people can experience all 4 of these movies, but especially The Fog, because I really do think it's one of John Carpenter's best movies. Of this set of the 4, I think it's my favorite of the 4 movies. Prince of Darkness is pretty good. They Live, Escape from New York, these are all classics. But The Fog is my favorite of this set because it's just such a great, if you're just looking for a great ghost story, that's this. And I consider it top 3 of Carpenter movies, right up there with Halloween, The Thing, and The Fog. So that's just my personal preference, but I really hope more people can get this set or import from the UK, because The Fog looks much better in 4K than on Blu-ray. If you watch that Blu-ray and you're not in a pitch black room with really well calibrated equipment, you know, really high-end stuff, you can have some issues with that Blu-ray. You're not going to be able to make out things. If you have a cheaper panel or even a projector that just won't handle blacks as well, you're going to have a lot of issues with that disc, and 4K really fixes a lot of that. Overall, I would give this a solid 4.5 out of 5 for The Fog. I highly recommend upgrading if you're a fan at all of horror movies, ghost stories, John Carpenter, classic horror. You're going to want this in your collection on 4K because it's just the optimal and best viewing experience you can get. So that's it for the review, and that's it for this entire Carpenter collection. I've reviewed all 4 of them now, so please, if you're interested in Prince of Darkness, They Live, Escape from New York, go back through my channel. You'll see over the last couple of months, you can also check out the Worth an Upgrade 4K review playlist, and they're all in there. But please go check out all of those if you have any questions about the other transfers. I'm really hoping for more Carpenter on 4K this year. Hoping we can get something like The Thing. That would be a awesome addition to my collection. I would love to see The Thing in 4K with HDR, especially after having seen movie the other day, The Evil Dead, that I reviewed, and those practical effects and how great they actually looked in 4K HDR. I'm really hoping that we can get The Thing on 4K soon, and some of the other Carpenter movies as well. He's got such an eclectic collection of movies, but it is really nice to at least have these 4. Only 2 of them available in the US easily, but like I said, you can find these on Amazon US. You can find this collection. You can buy it from Zavi or Amazon UK. You can buy it from JB Hi-Fi in Australia. There's many different ways to get this and import it if you're willing to wait and you're patient. You can certainly get these in the US or anywhere in the world, and you'll be able to watch them because they're region free. And I would recommend it. Overall, this set is a good solid 4 out of 5. So it's a really nice set that I highly recommend. So check the links down in the description for ways you can pick this up for your collection. I'll list individuals and the box sets. And yeah, that's it for the review. So make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications on. That'll keep you up to date with all my videos and what's going on in the channel. Check me out on social media over on Instagram, on TikTok. Those are great places to get in touch with me and interact more with the physical media community. And check out all the other links in my description for ways you can support the channel through donations, channel memberships. There's lots of ways you can passively support what I'm doing here and the content I'm building, which I truly appreciate. So thank you again for watching. Hope you guys stay safe and stay healthy out there, and have a great rest of your day. I will talk to you soon.